You probably read this title and thought, man, video essayists are really desperate to mention capitalism any chance they can. Stay with me on this one. If you've clicked on this video, you probably know what Frutiger Aero is and what it looks like. If you don't, you must be a very curious viewer. For you then, Frutiger Aero is the design language centered around plants, fresh water, vibrant colours and blob-shaped objects. I'll throw some images on screen for your viewing pleasure. By now, you're probably thinking, what do pictures of grass and water have to do with politics? Well, in this brief essay, I want to talk about why I think Frutiger Aero's online culture stands itself out from others. I've noticed some interesting characteristics of the aesthetic that I'd like to share. In theory, anyone can use Frutiger Aero, even Microsoft when they're being performative about it, but more on that later. At its core, Frutiger Aero is about life. It features thick grass and deep shades of green, clear blue skies unobstructed by any fog, as well as crystal clear water, unpolluted and pure. Frutiger Aero is an idealization of the world. It represents a world where grass is green, skies are blue, and life is clean. Green, green grass, blue, blue skies, as George Ezra puts it. It's a deliberate revival of an era in graphic design where products were sold as fresh, where modern technology both meets and cohabitates with nature. Gone were the days of looking at PCBs inside of transparent plastic. Companies wanted you to always remember to touch grass, I suppose. Emerging from an era of transparent or chromatic technology, Frutiger Aero's source material existed to advertise the idea that products were so natural, blended so seamlessly into your life. Themes of nature were embedded into everything. The user experience, the packaging design, even the advertising. I suppose that's where I ought to start. Frutiger Aero was, at the time, a method of advertising. The Frutiger Aero archive, quite a useful resource, alleges that Aero stands for authentic, energetic, reflective and open. The best source I could find for this is a 2007 website which says the same thing, quoting Wikipedia. The archive, Wikipedia, Lenovo, and even Canada's University of Waterloo all say the same thing, although Wikipedia describes it as a backronym. But why does a design language have a backronym though? Why did Microsoft try to market Aero as authentic or open? Let's go back to the late 2000s. Microsoft have just announced Windows Vista and desperately want people to upgrade from Windows XP. How would you go about selling people on this new operating system, which, back in the day, you had to pay $250 for a physical disk just to install? Simple. Make the new OS look as distinct and visually distant from the old one as possible. Microsoft needed to grab people's attention, stop them in their tracks. They needed them to stop and think, wow. And that's what they centered their advertising around. Compare how the Microsoft Windows website looked in 2005 during XP's reign to 2007 after Vista was announced. XP was just a blank white screen, hyperlinks and text, with a little grey for variation. In other words, it looked just like the computers of the time, that weird ash grey box with clunky shapes. Now, compare it to Vista. Whoa. Wow even. That horrid white and grey colour is gone completely. The top and bottom of the page is tinted in this darker blue shade. It's a subtle detail, but it really breaks up the page in a visually engaging way. It really reminds me of how waves tend to get whiter as they hit the beach. The sand is almost in the middle of the screen, meanwhile the header and the footer, where all of the outbound links are like the deeper ocean taking you out to the sea. Remember how people used to say they would surf the web? Why have these darker sections were you surfing Microsoft websites? The darker colours border the lighter ones. The header and footer of the page border the main body of text. It's not just that either. See the bar of buttons at the top? See how none of those links are just blue text? Every element of the page, the glossy buttons, the subheadings with dividers and shading, even the site header and footer with its darker blue shades, every element comes together to bring depth to a previously sterile website. Wake up! It's 2007. Everyone knows how to put links on an HTML site. But do people know how to add shiny buttons? Do people know how to make a website shine? Because Microsoft do. It's as if Microsoft switched to a completely new language. And that's because they did. It's design language. And even Aero is cited as an example on the Wikipedia. This was deliberate. The new age started here. The WoW started now. It was a clear signal to XP users of the time that they were about to be rendered outdated. Aero was sold to people as a symbol of the future. $250 bought you an entirely new look to your computer. And once you saw the Aero lights, you were never going to look back. Does that sound familiar, Frutiger Aero Revival fans? Aero was a selling point. It was a way of getting people to buy Microsoft's latest junk. Once Aero was the norm, once it stayed around for too long, the developers at Windows got bright ideas about Metro and flat, silhouetted designs. Of course, this video is largely focusing on Minecraft. Oh, flipping heck. I'm keeping that outtake in just for you. This video is largely focusing on Microsoft's usage of Aero, and even then, I'm not diving into specifics. I ran out of ideas for this week's video, and this video essay idea has been floating around my head for weeks now. This video is intentionally brief, intended to really discuss Frutiger Aero's usage as a product, as well as the political ideas I've seen form because of it. I'd love to revisit the topic another time with some more depth. For now though, why do I keep bringing up politics? What's so political about grass, water and air? Politics, in a literal sense, is about government and how people and institutions are governed, or regulated, or controlled. Then there's the more personal sense. How do you describe your politics? Do you believe in looking after the less fortunate? Do you believe in the need to project strength and power? I hate to be the video essayist that brings up dictionaries when defining concepts, but I really found Cambridge's alternative definition useful in visualising what I mean. Quote, someone's opinions about how a country should be governed. Or, in other words, someone's outlook, if you'll pardon the Microsoft pun. Frutiger Aero, its motifs, as well as its thriving revival space online, all demonstrate how there's a very vocal demand for life and eco-friendly symbolism to be brought back to technology. Current flat designs don't remind you of life, they remind you of concrete, of cities, of the corporate and the consumerist lives we want to leave behind. People are sick of the whites and the flats of the modern technology industry. People don't associate Windows Metro with vibrant graphics or an animated start menu, or the Windows and Xbox design languages becoming intertwined. People remember Windows Metro for Cortana. People remember Metro for the beginning of Microsoft account requirements. People didn't interact with the design language as much as they interacted with the features of the OS. You can paint stars on the walls, but people getting bullied in the star room, all you're going to do is make people associate stars with bullying. Oh yeah, remember when I said Windows were being performative about Frutiger Aero? This video is why. Microsoft will sometimes still use Frutiger Aero as a tactic to sell you on their services. In this video, Microsoft are doing the corporate equivalent of jangling keys in front of a baby. Frutiger Aero is a buzzword Microsoft know will draw attention because it's a popular idea. Frutiger Aero is popular online, so Microsoft uses it to promote Windows, which in turn people put faith in the company by using their services. Trouble is, it didn't work. For starters, as commenters pointed out, the operating system they chose to use, Vista, was notorious for being an unstable OS, namely because the system requirements far exceeded what typical, often 4-year-old PCs could handle. The irony of trying to glamorize a dysfunctional, nay, disastrous Windows OS wasn't lost on the commenters. Comments seem to mostly alternate between the current version of Windows is terrible and bring back Frutiger Aero. Thing is, Microsoft can bring back Frutiger Aero. It might even be really popular, but will they? It's probably unlikely since the current tech landscape is so focused on AI. Pivoting to Frutiger Aero would be commercial suicide. I can't say that word, can I? It's probably better that way too. I don't know anyone who wants AI generated Frutiger Aero. But for reasons I'll describe later, that's a topic for another video. Microsoft is entirely capable of bringing Frutiger Aero, but looking at the tech landscape today, let's thank God they don't. On the subject of the aesthetic drawing inspiration from Windows, Frutiger Aero is quite interesting in how it's almost liberated Microsoft's iconography. Let's look at Bliss, the desktop background from Windows XP. I've seen this image countless times over the years. Technically, Microsoft still own the rights to the image, since they bought the image from its photographer, Charles O'Rear. My word isn't legal gospel, however, the way in which it has been adopted by the Frutiger Aero community is similar to a public domain license. It's not belonging to everyone, but it is still widely used and edited with little dispute. I don't think even Microsoft would have much of an argument to sue over it anyway. As one of the most seen artworks in human history, it's been used and edited millions of times over decades. It's so associated with an entire community of enthusiasts, I reckon some people forget it even started as a wallpaper. Hell, kids born in 2013 can now use social media. In most jurisdictions. So we're entering an era of kids using social media who may have never even used Windows 7, let alone XP. To these kids, Bliss isn't the Windows XP wallpaper, it's the Frutiger Aero image. Liberated from being just a Microsoft product to a piece of art in its own right. And it's not just Bliss that this logic can be applied to either. Last year, I changed the typeface I used on this channel from Comic Sans to Segoe UI Lite. Comic Sans was just a placeholder I copied from Rambo Live when I started this in 2021, so when looking for a more distinct identity, I chose Segoe because it's the typeface Microsoft used on all the old promotional material for Windows 7. A very nostalgic and fun time in my life. Even though Microsoft created and owns the typeface, I feel the typeface is similar to other Microsoft media, which I'm also keen on. It's also very similar to Sony's in-house typeface that they use on the PlayStation and the Xperia phone line. I love Sony's typeface too, but Microsoft just has one that suits my needs, and it comes pre-installed to Windows. Is it liberation in the sense of taking it away from Microsoft, reclaiming it like Bliss has been? I wouldn't say so, but it is liberated in my view by associating it with more than just Windows. To me, Segoe UI Lite is more than just the typeface Windows uses. It also represents an entire school of thought in how technology is designed. Segoe UI Lite, to me, embodies a lot of the sleekness, the modernity, and the formality that companies like Microsoft and Sony want to provide. Segoe isn't just a typeface, it's about presentation. It's the smart casual of typefaces. Aside from representing Microsoft, it embodies my sense of style a lot. I'm almost liberating it for myself, redefining what it represents. I could talk more about typefaces and why I love them. I have a video planned in the future about it, so I'll leave it here. All art is political, so the saying goes. I very much think that's true for Frutiger Aero, and I think it's something that goes unacknowledged. The aesthetic's key motifs are ones of nature and vibrant life, and a vibrant life, which is a threat of eradication due to climate change, and the unregulated capitalism that enables it. I would have loved to dive more into this concept, but this video proved a tough nut to crack. I'm editing this script at 6 AM before work because of how much work this video has been to make. I'm sure that nobody making Frutiger Aero content, whether they be musicians, graphic designers, game developers, or otherwise, is doing so specifically to advertise Microsoft, Sony, or some other tech giant that they might have produced Frutiger Aero in the past. Frutiger Aero isn't an appreciation of Microsoft Windows, far from it. While it lends its name to the aesthetic, Windows Aero is not what people are celebrating with this aesthetic. Frutiger Aero isn't about telling the world how great Windows 7 is, or how the WoW starts now. Frutiger Aero is just remembering a time when we all had more optimism about the world. It's about technology being fun and a balanced part of life, where we felt appreciated rather than us being sold as products. Technology used to be an accessory to our lives. I remember a time where classrooms were all bookwork, so going to a computer room, an entire room dedicated to having these big blocky machines, it was a privilege. It was an extension of our lives. Sure, we didn't need to use computers all the time, but as a little treat. The schools I went to were more than willing to oblige. We didn't need computers, they were just a tool to use sometimes. Now, look at our relationship with technology, and it feels parasitic. I work a real world job in a physical location, yet we're still expected to use digital software sloppily made by a multi-billion-dollar company. I have to use this soulless, wretched software to do my job, and I hate it. Everything today is an algorithm, an app, or some abomination of a smart device. We don't just interact with technology, we depend on it. Everything you do in life is on a smart device. Even if you get rid of all of yours, you still have to navigate a world full of workers and people who depend on theirs. I suppose it's worth circling back to the title of this video. When I talk about the politics of Frutiger Aero, what does that actually mean? Should all enthusiasts vote for the Green Party? Do the Democrats need to rebrand and to feature motifs of grass and water? When I talk about the politics of Frutiger Aero, I'm referring to how Frutiger Aero has adopted its iconography, how an aesthetic previously defined by its commercial usefulness is now more than just a selling point. Frutiger Aero was once just a method of selling customers what the new trend is. The new is here and you're missing out, that sort of thing. Frutiger Aero no longer seems to be shackled to a specific company's image of what cyberspace should look like. Microsoft didn't make Frutiger Aero, you did. So here I am, making the first video in what I hope to be a series of Frutiger Aero related videos. Essays like these won't be the only thing I make, so if you're here for the essays, check out my other stuff. There's a few I've made over the years, and I'm actually proud of a few of them. Go watch them sometime. In the meantime, hopefully I'll be making more video essays. This one was a bit of a time crunch to make, as I'd forgotten how much research goes into these essays. I'm currently staring down at my 6th page of script, hence why this video, for now, has to be cut short. This video is a little bit lackluster, but it's becoming apparent to me that this topic is going to need to span a couple videos if I want to do it thoroughly. I was going to talk about AI generated Frutiger Aero content, but seeing both the length of the script, as well as the just complete ramble that the first draft evolved into, I've decided it needs some more work before I can show it off in a video. I hope that if you're interested in Frutiger Aero, you know why generative AI is bad for the environment. Although, I worry that the only reason I'd mention it is to teach the people who don't. And there ends the script, so this is all unscripted, you can tell by the way I'm talking. I have the narrator voice and then I have this voice. Anyway, thank you for watching. This was a lot of fun to make. It's 6 PM and the video's going out tomorrow, and I need to go and edit it very, very quickly. I look forward to seeing you all when the video goes out. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out the channel. I'll be doing more video essays in the future. With that said, thank you for watching.